Hello and welcome to 101 Ideas for Minecraft Learners. This episode is called Learning Code in Minecraft, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you some sort of redstone and some command block stuff down this sort of line here. We're in this big world here. It's kind of got all sorts of little experiments that I've been doing, and these kind of flat redstone worlds are really good for that kind of stuff. So anyway, back to this, learning code in Minecraft, and what I want to do is I kind of want to go through kind of redstone circuitry, kind of different aspects of it as well, and also look at Scratch as well, and kind of show you the similarities between Scratch, which is a kind of a snapping block kind of coding thing that young people are kind of a lot of young people use to kind of learn code, and some of the similarities between this and Minecraft. So as we know, here we go. We're going to have a look at some redstone circuits. So this is like a redstone circuit. So we've got a kind of a lever, and it's connected to. We've got this redstone. It's kind of like a powder. It's this stuff here. Blop blop blop, and it can form lines. And we've got this lever to a block of wool, and there's a redstone torch on the side of it. And that redstone torch is on, it's powering this one, which turns that off and then doesn't turn that on. So this is an example of redstone circuit. So we can turn this one on. This powers this block of wool here, which actually inverts the torch on it. And so the torch isn't powering this one, which then sort of turns that torch on and then thus powers this block. So you can kind of have double inversions and double inverters going along, and that's kind of one of the really interesting things you can do with redstone. And that's because redstone uses Boolean logic. It's either true or false. It's either on or off. On or off. And you can see the light back there, and you can see how this kind of works. So again, that is powering this block underneath it, and then that energy coming out of this block, phew, zipping into this block of wool, which powers this lamp, redstone lamp at the top. Boolean logic. Another thing that Minecraft offers us is it offers us kind of almost like command line kind of code. So if we look at this command block and we go to the right hand, we right click it, we can say hello world, done. And then when we power that, the command block will actually give us that statement. It says little at, and then hello world. So what we can do with all this kind of stuff is that we can actually build command blocks in redstone and create conditional statements. And we're going to look at conditional statements using test4. Let me just show you what test4 looks like. So in here we can ask the command console, the command block, to test for at p, which is targets the nearest player, and then we open a bracket and we say r equals 2, which is a radius of 2. So if a player is within a radius of 2, it'll output a signal, and it'll output a signal using this comparator. So let's have a look inside this command block and see what's going on. So let's right click it. So we've got a / test4 at p, which we can see down here. It says use at p for target nearest player. At p, open brackets, r equals 2, close brackets. What that means is radius equals 2. So if I'm within a radius of 2, when I send a signal through this command block, it will output a signal. So let's move away, click it. So I wasn't in the radius, so it's turned it off. If I am in the radius and I click it, it turns that power on, powering this lamp behind us, which is great. But it only does it once. If I move away, obviously it's still on. It's either on or off depending on when we click the button. Okay, so it needs power, an external power source, a switch or a trip to test4 to execute that command. And that's a kind of like an if statement. So we can do things something like, if I am close enough to this, then do that. Okay, let's have a look at that, see what that looks like in something like Scratch. So here we've got Scratch, and we've got our little cat up here, and our cat has got, I'm writing some bits and pieces here, so we say if the distance to sprite 2 is less than 100, then, and let's put this up here, then say that's too close. Okay, so this is sprite 1 down here, sprite 2. So there's my cat. Let's put that down there. So this is what we've got. So I'm going to click my green flag, and it's checked all that, and I'm obviously not close enough. So I'm going to move my cat a bit closer, click the green flag. Whoa, that's too close. So when I click the green flag, it's as if I'm actually pressing that button within Minecraft. It's doing exactly the same thing. It's going through this condition. So if the distance to sprite 2 is less than 100, then do something. In here we're saying that's too close. In Minecraft we're actually sending a signal out and turning a lamp on. So this will be equivalent to the lamp. But it could actually go to another command block and actually say, hey, that's too close. Okay, so you can get the command block to speak to you as well, which is really useful if you want to kind of make kind of almost like interactive adventures and things like that. Okay, let's go back to Minecraft. So that's the if statement, and now we've got if else. Okay, so those of you familiar with Scratch might recognize this one. So we've got a command block here which is doing exactly the same thing. It's testing for whether I'm close or not, and that's going into this block here, which has got a redstone torch at the back of it, and that's what we call an inverter. Okay, so it's inverting the signal. So at the moment there's no signal coming through, which means this redstone torch, it remains on, giving us a positive signal out there. Okay, so if else. So if I'm not close, it doesn't turn this on, else it does that. But if I am close, it does that, and it doesn't do the else. Let's have a look, see what that looks like in Scratch. So click on my little cat over here. Okay, so that looks like this. Okay, so what we could do is we could just put all this stuff down in here. Let's take that out. Put that in there, and then we'll duplicate that. And we'll say too far away. And we'll just chuck that back together again. So here we have it. When the green flag is clicked, if the distance to sprite 2 is less than 100, then say that's too close. Else, say that's too far away. So let's see what happens. So I'm going to press the green flag. That's too far away. Move it closer, and that's too close. And there you can see the concepts of if and else are kind of that were in the Scratch are exactly the same as if we were doing them within Minecraft. If else. The next one that I want to show you is sometimes called updating, sometimes it's called in Scratch, it's called forever. And what we can do is we can set up this thing here. This is called a redstone clock, and it gives a pulse, pew pew pew, pulsing. Okay, constantly pulsing into a redstone, into a command block. That just means this command block is constantly updating. So if I look at this, it's saying this is doing a test for at P for my radius. So I'm far away. If I get closer, it's turning it on. Now it's turning it off. Now it's turning it on. Now it's turning it off. And that's pretty clever. Okay, and a redstone clock. There are lots of ways of making redstone clock. Here are some examples. There's these ones as well. And what all the redstone clock does is it creates a pulse signal, so it can put through a signal through a command block, and that would test for. So it's good for testing for without having to flick a switch, without having to do anything else. We can actually make automatic doors that sense the distance of the player between them and open doors and do all sorts of stuff like that. So that's really useful. And what I'll do is I'll leave some links in the video description of tutorials just to make these things, okay? And I might do one myself later on. So let's do another one. Let's do OR. So you might know this kind of thing. So this is OR. So this is testing for R2, and this one is also testing for R2. So it's either that one or that one, okay? And we can see again Scratch has an OR. I wonder where I've got it. That's going to be in operators. And we've got, oh, actually, I've done one down here. So we've got, this is the kind of the forever, the unupdate thing. And what we'll do, we'll chuck that over there. We'll put this over here. And we'll do our OR. We'll pop that in there. And now we can see this. Well, it's got two forevers. Let's get rid of that. Okay, so it goes, when the green flag is clicked, forever, if the distance to sprite 2 is less than 100, or the distance to sprite 3 is less than 100, then so that's too close. Okay, so this is sprite 3 at the top, that's sprite 2 down the bottom. So let's and I've actually plugged my cat in so I can actually do my keyboard thing. Oh, green flag. So now I'll move close. That's too close. I'll move up to my sprite 3. That's too close as well. So it's going to do that if I'm or. So if the distance between that one or the distance between that one, then I do this. Okay, so that's or. The next one I really like because it gives us some sort of functionality and kind of it makes more conditions really and. Okay, so this one's really good because basically again we've got exactly the same thing. Test for, it's looking for my radius. I'm over this one. I'm over this one. But if I go here, I'm between them. So I need this one and this one. I need to be within the radius of 2 on this one and the radius of 2 on this one to get my output. If I move across like this. Let's look at how AND works. If we go around the back, we can see we've got 2 redstone repeaters coming out, exactly the same as the OR. So this, the OR is great because it's either this one, and that'll actually go into this block of wall here and send a signal, or this one, and that'll go out into this block of wall and send this signal. So it's kind of like splitting the signal, and it's doing the same thing because it's meeting in the middle. With this one, what we're doing is we've got these blocks of wall. Again, it's going out into this block of wall, and if I get close to this one, you can see that torch goes out. So it's inverting this torch, and it's inverting that torch, and then behind here we've got a third one in the middle. So we've got this little bit of redstone that's kind of alive in the middle. Okay, that is inverting this torch here. So what we need to do is we need to turn both the torches out to stop this torch at the back from sending a signal. And the way to do that is we turn that one off and we turn that one off, and you can see the redstone glow has stopped on the top, and that means the torch at the back is not being inverted, and that gives us a little signal to get this lamp lit at the back. Really cool stuff. So those are all things you can kind of quite easily find references in Scratch. So this is we looked at the OR. Let's take the OR out and let's put the AND in. And let's say that's too close. So as we know in Scratch, we've got the forever, so it's looping, continually looping. So it says if the distance to the sprite 2 is less than 100 and, so we need both these conditions to be met to make it do this, say that's too close. And the distance to sprite 3, so that's sprite 3 up there, that's sprite 2 down the bottom, then say that's too close. So let's look at our cat. So I'm going to just move, that's too close, okay. But if I move down to 1, it's not too close. If I move up and I get both the conditions met, so it's too close to the thing, you can say that's too close. There we go. And again, it's going to do it automatically because I've got that forever. I've got that looping on forever, which is really cool. Let's go back to game. Now the last little thing I want to kind of talk to you about is variables. Variables are kind of numbers, I suppose, or kind of within Scratch. If we look at data, we can see make a game variable. A variable is something like, you could have x equals, and then you can just assign it a number, and then we can make we can increase the number of x by doing little equations. It's really useful stuff used in games all the time, and general maths as well. So in Minecraft, the way we do this is by this. First of all, we need to set up, and I'm going to call this game var. And it's a scoreboard. So Minecraft has given us a thing called scoreboards. Scoreboards will track things like player health, distance run, or distance travelled, and things like that. So loads of different things that Minecraft will track. But the one good thing it gave us a dummy variable, and we can pretty much put anything we like into that dummy variable. So this is how it works. So you say scoreboard objectives. So we're add, and then we're going to call it a game var. So that's the name we're going to give it. It's a dummy variable. That's the kind of what Minecraft is calling it, dummy. So you need these three things, and then you need we're going to call it a friendly name, and we're going to call it a counter. And as you see on the side of my screen there, we've got the word counter. And the reason we've got that is we're going to display the scoreboard, and we use this one back here. So we say scoreboard objectives, set display, and you have to write D and all that kind of stuff. Sidebar game var. Okay, so game var is the name that we've just assigned it. So once that's done, let's reset all my scores and that'll disappear. So this is the way of resetting it. Scoreboard players reset at player within the radius of 20. Okay, that's me. So it just deletes that, and then I'm going to set this up. Bing. Okay, and you can see all the stuff within the sort of chat in the chat area saying set the display objective in slot sidebar for game var. Hooray! Then we're going to add to the variable, and if I press this button, I add 1. You can see a number 1 there, and I add another one. Add 2. Add 3. And this is just this scoreboard players add. We'll add to the player within the radius of 5, and that's been the radius of this command block game var 1. So it just adds 1 to that. Removing from the variable, and you can guess what's going to happen if I press this. It removes it. Even into the minuses there. So let's have a look here. Scoreboard players remove at player radius of 5 game var 1. So we just have the 1. We don't have to put negative numbers in here. What we're doing is using this word here, remove. What this can do, let's have a little look, see what I've done here. So if you've got, this is now testing for players at a player, the nearest player, with a score game var that equals 5, a minimum of 5, well, a maximum of 5, and the score game var of a minimum of 5. So you have to put these two scores in, and what will happen is this will light up, because I've got it on a clock as well. So I've got it on a clock. This will light up if I've got my score as 5. So let's put my score at 5 now. Oh, there it is. Look at that, straight away. So we can actually put other things in there as well. We can put a radius as well, and all sorts of stuff. So that's pretty good. Now let's take one away, and you can see the light go. Exactly. So there you go. So that's pretty cool. So that's one way of doing variables. And of course, if we go into Scratch, we can say that we can make a variable in Scratch here. And we can set game var in Scratch, a little bit easier actually, to whatever number we want. And then we can change game var by 1, or we can change game var by, and in here in Scratch we would say -1. So again, there are very similar mechanics between something like Scratch and something like Minecraft, and I think these are the two kind of ways that we can kind of encourage people to start thinking about how you can do, what programming looks like, what programming might do, because the kind of skills that are kind of involved are kind of computational thinking, kind of problem solving, etc., etc. I hope you've enjoyed this video. It's not really a tutorial, more of a kind of show and tell. And you can build all sorts of stuff. These kind of mechanical things behind here are kind of almost testing for, if we go down here, let's have a little look. These are testing for blocks. So in actual fact, what this does is it's testing to see if this is an air block up here. And if there isn't an air block up there, it inverts the signal. And then I'm going to put something else here. But basically what I'm doing, I'm creating mini little games about fractions. So if a player puts down 6 blocks out of 12 blocks, then this will be able to actually say, well, that's half of 12. Okay, or it might have a question for you that you can only get into the next room if you can divide this by that, and you have to put so many blocks down, and they can be in all sorts of areas. And if you get the right score, because we'll actually attach this to a scoreboard, then the door will open. Okay, so you can do all sorts of stuff like that, and really I'm just only scratching the surface with the potential for how Minecraft could be used within teaching programming and computational thinking. So until next time, I hope you've enjoyed it. If you've got any comments or questions and stuff, do leave them in the comments below. And if you haven't subscribed, please do, and do give us a like as well. That'd be much appreciated. Thanks very much. Until next time. Bye bye.